Welcome to this episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast. I'm Jen Kelly, and today we're talking about online funnels and why they may be the missing link to the success of your online promotions. So if you're wondering why no one is buying after they download your ebook, or why no one is taking the next step after signing up for your newsletter, or wondering why the heck your online ads are not helping you sell anything, the missing link might be a missing funnel. On the show today, I am joined by Ken and Paul from Changescape Web in St. Charles, Missouri, and my fellow Canadian, Ian from Outsource Marketing in Bradford, Ontario. So let's get started, guys.
All right.
So Ken, I'm going to throw the first question to you for our listeners/viewers who might be new to online marketing. What is a funnel?
So a funnel is really, it's a collection of things. But before I get into that, let me just take a step back. So traditionally, you've got top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. People are accustomed to, this idea of a sales funnel, and it looks like a funnel that you've got in your kitchen, or the type of funnel you put your gasoline into a gas can or something like that. So when we talk about sales or marketing funnels, really, you're talking about several different pieces that have to go into it. You're talking about a source of traffic. You're talking about the offer itself. The offer has to be compelling or your funnel's going to fail. And that's the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make, other than not making a funnel. You've got to have a landing page, which is designed to convert. Don't distract. Don't drive them to a home page and put your offer on your home page and expect that you're going to get massive results. You might get lucky. You might get good results, but really create a landing page, which is a page that's just all about your offer, the funnel, the value that somebody gets by taking advantage of it. Take them to a custom landing page, thanking them. That way it gives you the opportunity to measure and track the success of conversions from your funnel, because people may go to your funnel page, but they may not take your offer. So you want to track them to the point where they've taken your offer, they've gone to your landing page. And then you're going to have some kind of a nurture sequence, email or text. Occasionally you can do phone, or you can send notifications to people during certain activities as people work their way through getting different messages and interacting with those messages. Then maybe you can notify a salesperson, you better pick up the phone and call right now, because they just went and looked at this email, or they clicked through and took this action. So it can be fairly simple. It can be fairly complex. There are certainly things that you can do to act as accelerants to move people through the process faster. So that's really how I look at a funnel, is just looking at all of those different kind of components.
Mm-hmm. You brought up a good thing about a compelling offer. And this reminds me when trying to write press releases with some clients in the past, right? What they think is really big and important news really isn't. So I'm sure It's the same kind of thing with an offer. So what would be an example of a really good offer versus one that's not so great?
Well, Groupon's built an entire business model off this, right? So, they tell people, if you want to get success, you got to go at 40, 50% off, and so that's what they do. And then, they encourage the businesses, and then they capture the money up front, obviously. So that's an interesting business model. I'm not sure that it's always a very good model for the businesses doing it themselves, but the fact that they're telling people 40 to 50% off of an offer, off of something that you're offering, is an important thing to do. So I don't like to discount prices. I would rather, when it makes sense, if you can add value, add extra stuff to what somebody's buying. So buy it at this price. And oh, by the way, if you buy it now, you get this extra stuff on top of it. I think that's a better strategy, but it depends on the nature of the business too, and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to get people in your store ASAP, if they can go in your store right now, you need to have a compelling offer, and adding extra values maybe not the right thing to do. Maybe you just need to get them in there the first time and give them a compelling reason to do so.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Dan, funnels.
Funnels.
Ken just went through and talked a lot about like the online and what you need at every step in the way in order to make your funnel really happen. Now, is the funnel or the concept of a funnel, does it appear in real life somewhere? Is there some kind of real business situation where a funnel is used that is not online?
Yes. I think I'm so glad you asked this question, Jen, because I think this is important. People who do funnels of any kind online should never kind of just, well, I'm going to sit back and let the funnel do its thing, and I don't have to, I'll go about my life. I don't think you can do that. I think so the real great way to look at this is, yes, let the online funnel, once you've got that in a great place, let it run its course and do its thing. But particularly if you're in a service-based business, I think you really have to sort of map out what the relationship is all about. That's really where you probably need to map out your process a little bit. Map out your process so that you how many touch points do you have? And I think a great place to start is use your CRM. When you use your CRM, what are the touch points that you have to do? And that's about as close to an offline funnel as I see. And anybody else can jump in here on that, but I think it's always just as important to map out right down to the detail of, how many touch points does it take as far as 5, 6, 10 parts of your process so that you are moving people through it offline as well. It's really kind of a tag team, it doesn't matter whether somebody goes through your online funnel first and becomes a client, or they go offline with the personal connections that you're having, and they become a client that way. That's okay. But I do think you want to have both of those running concurrently. And that way, not only are you in touch with, you have some control of the offline, but then I think you can also guide your team offline on what are they doing, what are their relationships with clients as they move through their funnels. But yes, use your CRM and do your deal tracking with your CRM. That's really the funnel as I see it. And anybody else can jump in on that as well, but that's just my take on it.
A couple of things on that. One is, every business should understand what the customer's buyer journey is. If it's an automobile, and somebody's going to make a big purchase like that, there are like 27 different touch points that have been documented. People are going to look at magazines, they're going to look at news articles, they may watch TV commercials, they may do this, they may do that. You want to map out all of that and get the best understanding you can. A restaurant, completely different. A restaurant is not a big ticket purchase item. And it may be driven by an immediate need. So you also have to think about the existential versus the aspirational elements of what it is that you sell and who you're selling it to or who's buying it from you. So the other thing though is, so many businesses don't take advantage of their physical space to take people from an offline environment to get them into an online environment. And then you can put them in an online environment where you can build out a funnel to say, hey, remember me? It's time to come back. Take advantage of that physical space, on your menus, on your sales tickets, on the windows of your store, or on the walls of your store, have reminders so that you use your offline space to drive people online. Or, if you're doing direct mail, which is working pretty well for some businesses right now because mail has dropped down quite a bit, use that as the entry point to get somebody into your funnel. That could be your source of traffic.
Well done. So Ian, what happens if a company is online, active online, they got their website going and whatnot, but does not have a funnel?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jen. And where I'm going to start with that is where Ken and Dan left off, in that it's similar online as it is offline, in that, Ken talked about the buyer's journey, and the purpose of a funnel and the purpose of a salesperson really is to nurture people through the know, like, trust, try, buy phases, and then ultimately repeat and refer. So you want your funnel, your online funnel, to do that as well. You want to move people to act, and oftentimes it's in little ways. And if you don't move them from the know phase, so people have to know about your business before they can like you or trust you or try you or buy you. So if you don't move people through those phases appropriately and as quickly as they want to go, then you're going to lose opportunities. And so a lot of businesses we see, just what Ken had said earlier about sending people from ads to their homepage, that's not a great way to move people through that buying decision, that funnel, or the hourglass, the marketing hourglass. So it's really about how do you can do these mini conversions between each step of that marketing hourglass, and helping people through that process, because that's what you're there for. They have a need, and you're trying to help them through that need as best as you can.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good point. You said they're at their pace, because we've got the funnel mapped out. There's certain steps we'd like them to go through as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. But yeah, some people will take a little bit longer in the discovery. Some people aren't ready to buy yet and whatnot. So it's a good point there. It's unfortunately not one and done, a 3-day process.
That's right. But you also want to make it so that if somebody is super ready, that they can fast track themselves to the buy stage, because there are people that are ready to buy, especially depending on the type of business and the type of product or service you're selling.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Ian, you're always so positive.
Yeah, always. Never heard him say anything bad about it.
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Paul, we've been talking about online funnels. So online to me, I'm probably the least technical in this group here. Online to me makes me think, oh my goodness, we've got code, we've got software. So if we're talking about a simple sales funnel, a simple funnel, do you think that would be technically too complex for a small business owner to set up on their own?
It depends on the software. Probably not, because if you just want a simple funnel, there's all kinds of different software. It's more about, what do you want the customer to do? What's the end result? You kind of have to work backwards, because if you don't know, it's like the old saying, if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. So you have to know what you want the customer to do. And conceptually, probably talk about this a little more later, but conceptually, a funnel is a linear path, but people don't always do that. So from a technical perspective, no, if you just need a simple funnel, it's really not that difficult to set up, as long as you know what you want the customer to do. And if you have that path laid out, then it's really not that difficult. Funnels can be as simple or as complicated as you need them to be.
Good. Well, that's promising. Now, do we need a lot of funnels, Ken? How many funnels would you suggest a small business would need? And once they say, let's call it 3, for example. So if they set up 3, is it, 3 and they're done, or do they ever expire?
Yeah. If you design the funnel properly, the funnel probably doesn't expire. The offer might expire, but the funnel probably doesn't. In terms of numbers, I think it's really driven by the nature of the business and maybe even the bandwidth of what they have. Right now, I think it's really important for businesses to have a list, and to have a list, to drop them into one core funnel that, is going to be the most beneficial for their business. It's going to vary widely. For example, I talked about Groupon a little bit earlier. That business model is really driven around getting somebody to experience your business, and then hoping that that experience is going to convince them that maybe they want to come back. Where I think every business that I've ever talked to who's done Groupon fails is Groupon can do a great job of getting people into that business, but then the business has no follow-up to get them to come back. And so it becomes a really expensive and oftentimes money-losing proposition because you didn't design your funnel properly. And Groupon is a key element to drive the traffic there. So, if you're a restaurant, you may be able to offer 50% discount knowing that you literally just need to get somebody in there because you've got the type of business where people can, if they have a good experience and you remind them about it, they're going to come back frequently. And so getting them in there the first time, getting them in there the second time is critical. That's where your funnel really has to kick in. By the time they come in for a third time, you've probably got them until they have a bad experience. And even if they have a bad experience, you may still be able to hang on to them. So that's completely different than if you're a roofer. People, hopefully they only need a roof maybe once or twice in their lives, right? And so what do you do if you're a roofer? Well, is there something you can do to stay top of mind? Can you offer gutter cleaning services every year or every season, every spring and fall to maybe stay top of mind so that when somebody has a roof need that you're going to be there and they're going to have that relationship to contact you? Maybe that makes sense. If not, then maybe you look at something like a guide to help people make a good decision about who they should hire when they do have a roof problem. And so that could be an ebook, it could be a checklist, it could be watching a video series to demonstrate know, like, and trust, as Ian talked about, so that when they feel like they have a problem, they're like, I really like the way these guys talked about how they solve roof problems, how they think about why there are leaks in somebody's roof. And so, I think by all means, start with one. It should be something that is going to help you build your list so that you can maintain contact with somebody. Ideally, I think if you can afford to do it over time, build a funnel for every core service that's valuable for your business. If you can do that, I think, you're going to see a lot of great opportunity. And then, it depends on the nature of how people buy. What we all do, we all deliver a lot of online marketing services, or those services could certainly be delivered exclusively online. We may want to have a bunch of different funnels, that are out there. But again, a roofer may only need a couple, and it really is just dependent upon the nature of what they sell and the buying process that somebody typically is going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
That point you said, sorry, let me jump in real quick.
That
point you said there, Ken, about using Groupon as an example and getting people off of Groupon via your own list. I think that's a really, really important comment, because what happens, even if you're not using Groupon and your traffic is coming from Google ads or Facebook ads or wherever your traffic store is,
Right.
The most important thing in your funnel is actually to get those people, capture their information so that you don't have to continuously pay to talk to them. Because if you have their information, you can now continue a conversation at the correct pace using your own systems, and you're not paying for it every single time. So I just wanted to jump in there. I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah, it is a good point. Especially too, if someone's running an Amazon store, same deal, right? You want to have that relationship with the customer.
Yeah, you may very well need to pay for traffic to get people into your funnel. That's a very common thing, and that's probably the best way that you can spend your money. And then use the power of your funnel. Your funnel's not free. I mean, just because you build it, it doesn't mean it's free. I mean, you have to pay for the software. You're going to need to go in and make some tweaks. You're gonna have to experiment and say, okay, nobody cared about these messages, so maybe I need to go rewrite these. Maybe people aren't reading email. Maybe I need to think about, is there a text delivery option that may make more sense for what I do? So it's not just set it and forget it yet. Although once you optimize and fine tune a funnel, it can be pretty set it and forget it. And that's the beauty of it. You build it and then it just runs. And that's really the power of it.
Absolutely. But Dan, what happens if your funnel is not working? Like, say you set it, forget it, but how can you tell it's not working? And what do you do if it's not working? How do you fix it?
Yeah, this is why I'm not a complicated person when it comes to funnels, I'm a simple man. But I do think that when you think about it, there are so many variables here in play. And that's the thing about if you get out of the gate. And I have seen some people try to build funnels that look like, we're putting up a building, or the schematics are like, okay, if here, then here, then here, then here. And I'm just not a big fan of that because of the very question that you're asking, Jen. I think that's, you oftentimes, Ian mentioned the traffic store, which was a term I got to, really take a look at when it comes to how many different variables that you have right there in the traffic store. And for that, I think what are the different things that you're going to have? You might have 5 or 6 different variables right there, and so that becomes a really big issue right there, where you're kind of like, well, am I going to do Google Ads? Am I going to do, different things like that, and get that in a good place?
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think get the ground floor in a good place. Okay, figure out what's pulling from that initial stage, and then you can start to build and evolve. As Ken said, it's never a set it and forget it. That just never happens. But I do think you have to sort of say, all right, what's this first stage bringing me? Are they bringing me to the party? Then how does that work from there? And then you can kind of build upon it. But I think to launch out of the gate with something super complicated is you're going to scratch your head a lot about where it needs to be fixed. Too much. Start simple and then build.
Good advice.
If you don't have data, you can't make decisions. And I guarantee you, the worst funnel that you could design is still probably better than not running a funnel at all, as long as you're not just leaking massive amounts of money, because you're not getting any data to help you make good decisions moving forward. So don't overcomplicate it. Get something going, but design it and think it through. But don't overcomplicate it, as Dan said.
And just to clarify something, Ken, you said without data, you can't make decisions, but people make decisions all the time without data. So the data helps you make good decisions.
Good decisions. Good point.
Ian, do you have some examples of a funnel for a few types of different businesses? So what I'm trying to do is for the audience, get them to understand what it would be like to have a funnel for a service business versus a product business. Could you help out with that?
For sure. Yeah, I'll give an example. I'll start with product. This happened. I know every single person that is on the panel has had this happen. And I think probably people in the audience have as well. If you are a business owner and you like apps of any kind, you have been hit up by fantastic ads on Facebook related to apps. So it's a product that somebody is selling, and they're presenting you with a limited time offer that you are it captures your attention. You click on the ad, it takes you to a landing page. The landing page then presents you with a countdown timer that says, this is a limited time offer. They have a video that explains why it's of benefit to you. It's a lot of these, especially product pages, are very, very long. They have testimonials, they have the key benefits, they have the features of the product. And then they say, if you act within the next X number of hours, X number of days, we will give you an added value offer on top of that. So not only are you getting a great limited time offer on the software, you're also going to get some bonuses, usually related to training or some ebooks or something like that. So that's a very, very common type of funnel for a product. And then once you act upon that, well, first of all, if you don't act upon that, you will continue to see ads related to that product when you go to Facebook, maybe even on Google and some of the affiliate sites. If you do act, they're going to start nurturing you for other types of software, for training, for other services related to that are of benefit to you. And oftentimes the really, really good funnels in there are going to then offer you an upgrade option to that software. It's very slick. It's very powerful. I know I get hit up with those all the time, and I love apps. I'm a geek when it comes to apps, and I want to try them. And I'm like, oh, I got to try this. You know, it's a great offer. It's a lifetime offer oftentimes, so you're not stuck in a monthly deal. But then the upgrade offers are usually a monthly deal. So I know Ken can associate with that for sure.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I think I'm the poster child. I think I eclipsed Ray, our friend Ray Perry, a while back with this topic. You know, the thing is, though, you know, building upon that, Ian, you know, if you design your funnel right, you can actually have that initial product, you know, at a really deep discount. And then if you design it more effectively, I mean, the goal is you know, for most businesses, it's a really good business model to get people to buy more from you because it's cheaper to get an existing customer to buy from you again or to buy more from you. And so you want to think through that with your funnel design. If you're having an offer, like Ian said, give them an upgrade, because if they upgrade to that, you don't have to spend extra money on advertising to get them in the funnel. They're already in it. You know, so now that turns into more profit for you. So you really want to think through that.
And plus, you get emails every single month from that provider with new software you can buy.
Right. Exactly.
The next funnel.
Right.
I wanted to also share an example of a service based funnel. So I think these go well together. Definitely from a dentist standpoint, just because we have quite a few dental clients. Dental implants are a really high value service for dentists. And so it's definitely a service that we do funnels for because it just makes financial sense to the dentist. And so an example of a funnel there is we do a Facebook ad, or it could be a Google ad. Google ads are very good too, because you're getting a qualified buyer already because they've typed in dental implant cost or something like that. But then usually what we do with dentists is we offer some sort of guide. So a free downloadable guide for dental implants. So how to buy dental implants, or what, the ultimate guide to dental implants. And then to download that, they have to provide their email, sometimes their phone number, but usually it's just name and email. And then they get put into an email nurture campaign from that dentist that each email expands on the benefits to them of dental implants, common objections and answers to those common objections, even just talking about the dental practice and why they should choose that particular dentist over another dentist. And it really is just to walk them through that know, like, trust, and try phase in order to get them to then book an appointment with the dentist. And in everything they do, there's a book an appointment now button, so that if they're ready to buy, they can fast track themselves.
Yeah.
And similar funnels are very common also with coaches. So I'm sure if we're talking to small business owners, and I see it all the time related to business coaching, you name it, life coaching, fitness coaching. There's all sorts of funnels similar to that, where there's a guide or there's a low cost entry point where you can learn how, get into a small fitness program for a week, and then they upsell you on the next level and so on.
The key thing is, the customer or the client or patient or whoever has to perceive the value of what they're going to get is more important than giving up their email address or their cell phone number.
Yep.
So again, it comes down to what is the offer. the offer is absolutely critical. It's, what sounds like it may be good, I mean, it may get zero traction. And then you've got people who are really frustrated because they spend money, they try to do the right things, but they didn't give themselves a chance.
And Jen, I had a thought here. We have time for an extra thought here?
We have time for thoughts. Yes,
All right.
please go ahead.
I don't want to delay it. By the way, I'm going to kill this microphone after I'm done with the new microphone. So the thing that I think that we want to keep in mind here too, and I want to put this out there to folks, is just because we're talking about funnels doesn't always mean it's strictly sales funnels either, or marketing funnels for that matter. Our sensei, our guru, our Yoda, John Jantsch, has often said that when there's things like networking funnels, there are different types of funnels for any kind of relationship, period. So don't just think about necessarily how you're going to, sell somebody with a funnel. Think about how am I going to strengthen the relationship, after I've met somebody at an event, online, offline. How do I put them into a networking funnel? So this is something I'm just starting to wrap my head around, and how to put this into a CRM so that, we kind of think about everybody we come into contact with is a potential person into a funnel. Not in a pushy way, but rather just to say, how do I keep this relationship going and not just, boom, they're in my e-newsletter feed, nurture thing and forget it. I think you can definitely take a more active role in making sure that they're part of a different type of funnel, like a networking funnel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a neat point. Can you just expand on that a bit, actually? So I meet you at a conference, a virtual conference. We exchange emails. You put me into your funnel. Is the first message to me, thanks for your time at the conference yesterday. Should we set up, an introductory Zoom call? Like what kind of nurturing do you do relationship wise?
Yeah, I think the way I do it, and not everybody has to do it this way, but I think one of the ways that I do it is, I will probably say, okay, like yesterday, I just had a networking event in the morning. There were a few people I target 3 to 5 people at an event to say, okay, I'm going to have a deep conversation with them, and then they're going to be entered into a funnel where I'll do LinkedIn, which is not, there's nothing automated about what I'm doing at that point. Mm-hmm. But let's say that we connect on LinkedIn, and okay, it was great meeting you, some kind of personal message. Well, then from there, you can engage them in whether that, it's an email program or a CRM program, to have some different types of messages to sort of say, hey, I'd love to do a one-on-one with you, because that really is the next step after you do an event. It doesn't mean, though, that you have to actually craft an email every time. So you can have an automated kind of process where you can say, I'm going to put, oh, hey, Ian, it was great to meet with you. Let's get a one-on-one on the books. What looks good for you? Then after Ian and I meet, well, I still want to meet with him, let's say in the coming quarter. Some people, they just forget about it. They just kind of say, well, if something comes up. I don't usually do that. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to make that part of an intentional process where the funnel will then ping myself and or Ian and say, okay, now it's time for another update, because Ian's got something new in his life. He's got a new product, a new service, something like that. And so that whole messaging sequence, though, can still be automated. It doesn't have to come from you in a customized way every single time. It can be more like, okay, well, it's time for us to get together. It's another quarter. And so I think if you can set that up so that every quarter you have a different, type of ping where you can get that meeting going in a Zoom meeting, then, then that's a good way to do it. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it just depends on what you want from the relationship. But a lot of times you're talking about not necessarily a client, but a strategic partner. So
Yeah.
Think of it as a strategic partner funnel, if you will.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. And that will alleviate the fact that many of us probably have hundreds of LinkedIn connections and we wouldn't recognize them if we passed them on the street. You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep them warm.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and don't try to do it to 25,000 different people, 50 to 100 people will probably be about as much as you want to do, maximum, especially if you're serious and intentional about trying to have a bond. I think it's very, very difficult to have more than 100 to 125 that you really, really put in your exceptional tribe.
Hey, and as another type of
plug there for future.
We're all bonding right here, so
yeah, here are my 4 people right here. Yeah.
Another type of funnel that's non-sales, that's a slam dunk, and every business should be doing this, is a review funnel. As you have customers, patients, clients coming through your doors and you're creating satisfied customers, you want to be reaching out to them. So that's the top of the funnel. You have customers, and then you want to be nurturing them to leave you a review on Google, Facebook, RateMDs, wherever it is most beneficial to you. And usually that's like an email nurture program, and saying thank you at the end as well. Very simple, but very powerful.
And you do a great job of this, Ian. I got to say, is that you have turned people around who were like, got the worst reviews ever that I've ever seen. And then suddenly, boom, with a review funnel that you set up, you just, suddenly got them from 1 and 2 stars to at least averaging like 3 or better, which is a huge turnaround for the business and their credibility.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I think but the key thing I assume is, kind of what you did and what a lot of us do is we kind of train these folks, and I would encourage people to think about this. You have a proof point in your business. There is that special period of time after you have done something good where somebody's saying, oh, that was awesome, thank you so much. Whether that's a project or whatever, or not, some part of that relationship, send them a review at that moment. Don't wait and then go, oh gosh, it's been 6 months. I wonder if that person remembers me. Well, they will remember you, but it won't be as fresh. So seize upon the freshness of that moment when you're going to capitalize, and then get your review funnel going, just like you said.
So listeners should take away 2 things: bonding and freshness today. and the key that neither of us said, Dan, is that this assumes that you have satisfied customers. If you are just ticking everybody off, every single person that comes through your door, you're delivering poorly. Make sure you do the operations well and you do have satisfied customers before reaching out to them for reviews, or else you'll just get bombarded by bad reviews. So it does assume that you're doing a good job, and that yes, you may have the occasional upset customer that you can then turn around.
Another funnel that I think every business needs to create is a reactivation funnel. But the challenge is, way too many businesses that we talk to, they don't even have a list of their past customers. And right now, when you're in a stressed economy, lists are gold. And so the first place is to go through your accounting software, manually in your invoices, go through your emails, whatever you need to do, create a list of your past customers. And, I do what I call the 3 R's: review, refer, reactivate, and build those funnels first, because it's a lot easier to get somebody who's already purchased from you to buy from you again. They've already had that experience. Hopefully they already have built that know, like, and trust. So it's easier for them to refer you. And obviously it's easier for them to review you. So as Ian talked about the review funnels, you want to think about the reactivation and the referral funnels as well.
That's a great one.
Yeah. Paul, I'm going to throw you the last question to bring us home here. What are the essential 3 to 5 items that go into a funnel?
That's a good question, and the answer is more complicated than you think, probably. Because when we talk about funnels, conceptually, a funnel is a way to guide someone through a process to an end result that you want them, an action that you want them to take. But there's a psychological aspect that we never think about. And you have to start as a business. Where are you positioned in your target market? So let's say, people aren't going to do business with someone that they don't know or they don't trust. So let's say I'm looking for siding for my house. And we talk a lot about Google Ads, and Google Ads are great from an intent-oriented perspective, and they can be used for top of the funnel, but you have to get people into your funnel. And this is where content is important, and there's different kinds of content. But let's say I'm looking for siding for my house. Well, I don't want to get ripped off, and if I don't know you, if I don't trust you, but your competitor is well positioned in the marketplace, and I know who they are, then that's probably who I'm going to go with. And this comes back to content. It's kind of like a lot of times business owners, they don't want to put how-tos out there because they're like, well, I don't want to tell people how to do this. I want them to call me. Well, it's give them what they need and they'll buy what they want. So you have three groups of people. You have the do-it-yourselfers. They're going to figure out how to do it themselves, and that's it. Then you have the second group of people that they think they're going to do it themselves. So they go out there on the internet. This is not 1921, it's 2021. This information is out there. And if you don't put it out there, your competitor is going to put it out there. And then so they try to do it themselves, and they realize they're in over their head, or life happens and they can't finish the project. So they decide, okay, I need to call someone to bail me out of this situation. Well, if they found the initial information on your website or your YouTube channel or whatever it is, they're probably going to call you. And then there's the people that they're like, I don't want to mess with it. I make good money. I'm just going to pay somebody to do it. And that's where you need to be positioned in the marketplace so that you are known and trusted, because you have to get people, and people can enter a funnel at any point. They don't necessarily enter at the top. Initially, maybe they do, but if you have a good reputation within your marketplace, then intent-oriented ads will work really good. But those intent-oriented bottom of the funnel ads aren't going to work with someone that doesn't know anything about you. They may click on the ad and go to your landing page and say, okay, looks good, but I don't know anything about this business. And this is where people don't take a linear path. We talk about the 7, 8, 10 touch points, whatever, because people have to get to know you. And that's what your content does. And so a funnel works if people trust you, at the bottom of that funnel. So if someone's at the top of the funnel, you have to gain their trust. So you need to get them into the funnel. You need content to let people know that you are the expert, you are the authority, you do know what you're doing. And then you guide them through that funnel. So there's a lot of things that go into that psychology, if you will, of building that funnel. I hope that makes sense.
It makes sense, and it sounds very, very serious, and it sounds like it's a good place to wrap up. So thanks, guys, for a great conversation on funnels, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
Thank you.
See you guys.